I watched her swirl her wine in that crystal glass like she was painting art. Red liquid shimmering against the candlelight. Smiling. Like she hadn't broken every piece of me just a few nights ago. Her laughter floated across the table, soft, graceful, and hollow. Only this time, I didn't just hear it. I felt it. Right in the center of my chest. That laugh once healed me. Now, it mocked me. Because while she smiled and shared stories with our guests, her family, our friends, my colleagues, I was watching a ghost of the woman I once knew. And she was watching me, thinking I didn't know. But I did. God, I knew everything. Where she went. Who she met. What she said when she thought I couldn't hear. What she did when she thought I was asleep. And the cruelest part. She didn't just lie. She built a fantasy. One where I was the fool, the soft, naive, clueless husband. But I wasn't. Not anymore. I had known about the affair for weeks. I knew the hotel. The room number. The exact words she whispered when she was in his arms. I knew the code names she used. The lies she told her best friend. The fake meetings. The deleted photos. But she thought she was still in control. And what she didn't know is that tonight was the last time she'd ever smile that way again. Because tonight, everything ends. But it didn't start with anger. It started with suspicion. And silence. You ever hear something that doesn't sound wrong, but feels wrong? That's what happened. It was a Wednesday night. She was standing on the balcony, phone pressed to her ear, talking low and sweet. And I heard her laugh. Just, laugh. Not loud. Not forced. But warm. Too warm. It wasn't how she laughed with me anymore. It wasn't how she sounded during our dinners or when we watched our favorite shows. It was soft, seductive, young. And something inside me whispered, she's not yours right now. The next day, I found myself noticing things I'd ignored for months. She changed her phone's lock screen. Started locking the bathroom door during showers. Her texts became shorter. Conversations became clipped. Eye contact. Almost non-existent. But it wasn't the distance that hurt most. It was the way she treated me with pity. Like I was some old thing she had outgrown but didn't have the heart to throw away. She would pat my shoulder gently when walking past, say, "Thanks, babe," when I cooked, and vanish behind glowing screens when I tried to talk. So I stayed quiet. Not because I was scared. But because I needed to know. I wasn't going to accuse her based on a hunch. I needed proof. Concrete. Unshakable. I needed to see the rot with my own eyes. So I bought a camera. One of those tiny ones. Discreet. Wireless. And I placed it where no one would ever find it, inside a smoke detector. Not because I didn't trust her. But because she had already made me question my own reality. 3 nights later, I got my answer. She thought I was asleep on the couch. She stepped into the bedroom, turned the lights low, sat on the bed, and pulled out her phone. FaceTime. And then I saw him. Gray hair. Late 40s. Wedding ring still on. She tucked her hair behind her ears, giggled, leaned in toward the screen like a teenager. "I miss you," she said. He smirked. "You look tired." She smiled back. "He thinks I've just been overworked." Poor thing. Still believes every word I say. I paused the video right there. Just sat there staring at her face. It didn't look evil. It looked free. Happy. And in that moment, I realized. It wasn't just that she was cheating. It was that she loved it. She loved the thrill. The control. The secret. She loved having me, the safe, reliable husband, and him, the wild escape. And the moment I understood that, I stopped feeling sad. I started feeling dangerous. I didn't say anything to her that night. Didn't mention the call. Didn't ask who he was. I just walked back to our room, lay beside her in the dark, and listened to her breathing. It was calm. Steady. Like she hadn't just shattered me a few hours ago. She turned in her sleep, one hand brushing mine. And I remember thinking. This is what betrayal feels like, not fire. Not explosions. But cold. Stillness. You lie next to the person you love the most, and you feel like a stranger in your own bed. The next few days, I studied her. Not like a husband studies his wife, but like a detective watches a suspect. She went about her routine, perfectly composed. Made breakfast. Texted on the couch. Laughed at TV shows. And I played the role she expected me to play, quiet, dependable, comfortably ignorant. But every word she spoke, every kiss on the cheek, every "I love you," felt rehearsed. Fake. And behind those pretty eyes, I saw a clock ticking. I started collecting more. Screenshots of her chats, encrypted but not beyond my reach. I read things that made my stomach twist. Him calling her my escape. Her calling me so sweet it makes me sick. She told him I was safe, predictable. That I'd never find out. Said she wished I would just slip away peacefully. Peacefully. That word hit me like a truck. I don't think people understand, cheating isn't about sex. It's about erasure. She wasn't just sleeping with someone else. She was rewriting me. Turning me into some sad background character in her twisted little fantasy. And still. I waited. I waited because I wanted the truth to hurt. Not just her. Everyone who believed in her. Everyone she'd lied to. Everyone who saw us and said, "You two are perfect." I wanted them to know the truth. I wanted them to feel what I felt. She told me she had a business trip coming up, Atlanta, 3 days, leadership conference. I nodded. Asked her if she wanted me to drop her off at the airport. She smiled like I was a puppy who couldn't spell betrayal if I tried. Sure, babe. That'd be nice. I remember watching her pack. The way she folded each piece of lingerie with careful grace, tucked perfume bottles into corners, hummed softly. She had no idea that I knew where she was really going. I had already booked a room, 2 floors above hers. Her itinerary. Sent straight to me by her assistant, who thought she was planning a surprise anniversary trip for me. The irony. She kissed me at the terminal, pulled her suitcase behind her, and vanished through the security gate like a woman with nothing to hide. But the woman I married? She was already gone. When I checked into the hotel in Atlanta, the front desk staff didn't ask questions. Why would they? I handed them the tip, nodded politely, and made my way to the room. Camera ready. Recorder on. I waited. At 5:46 p.m., they entered. Together. He had his hand on her lower back. She giggled. Kissed his cheek. She didn't even glance around. Like it was all normal. They went to dinner. Sat by the window. I could see them from the cafe across the street. They talked like teenagers, touched hands, sipped wine, leaned in close. I watched through the lens of my camera, but also through the lens of my broken faith. And then, that night, they disappeared into the room. The lights went out. And the soundproof walls swallowed whatever remained of my marriage. I didn't cry. I didn't throw up. I just sat in my chair, staring out at the Atlanta skyline, and let the numbness wrap around me like a second skin. She didn't know what was coming. Because the real betrayal wasn't that she slept with someone else. It's that she looked me in the eyes every day and still called it love. When we got back home, everything looked the same. But I wasn't. She asked me how my weekend was. I told her it was quiet. Peaceful. She laughed. That's good. You needed the rest. She didn't notice the edge in my smile. Didn't sense the change in the air. Because she had spent so long building her world of lies, she forgot something simple. I used to build worlds too. And I was about to burn hers to the ground. She decided to host a dinner party. Anniversary weekend. Friends, family, people we hadn't seen in months. She planned it all, menus, candles, table settings. She even asked me if I wanted to say a few words at dinner. I said I would. And I meant it. The night arrived like a movie scene. Everyone dressed up. Laughter filled the house. Wine flowed. Old memories surfaced. She looked stunning. That red dress. The one that hugged her perfectly. The same one she wore on our 3rd anniversary, when she cried over dinner and said she couldn't imagine life without me. Back then, I believed her. Now, I knew better. At the end of dinner, before dessert, I stood up. Lifted my glass. Before we dig in, I put something together. Watched her go from denial, to anger, to desperation. Her first email. Please. This isn't you. You're better than this. Her second. You've made your point. Can we talk privately? Her third. I'm falling apart. I don't even know who I am anymore. And finally. I miss you. I miss who we used to be. Can we start over? But that's the thing about betrayal, it doesn't just end the relationship. It kills the version of me who could have ever loved her again. The man she left behind. He died quietly. One broken truth at a time. She thought the revenge was the video. She thought the dinner was the climax. But it wasn't. The real revenge is watching someone realize they destroyed the only place they were ever truly safe, and there's no way back. I moved out 3 months later. Sold the house. Burned old photos. Kept one, though. The one where we're on the beach, our 3rd anniversary. She's laughing, hair blowing across her face. I kept it not to remember her, but to remember me. The man I used to be before her lies. Before the silence. Before the hollow nights. And now. I'm someone else. Someone who listens to his gut. Someone who doesn't settle. Someone who survived what he thought he'd never recover from. They say closure comes from conversation. No. Closure comes when you finally stop waiting for the apology. And start living like they never mattered. If you're watching this, and you've felt that ache in your chest. The quiet panic. The instinct you can't explain. The whisper that something isn't right. Listen to it. Not because it will make the pain easier. But because it will save you from years of dying slowly in someone else's lie. You don't have to expose them in front of a crowd. You don't have to burn everything. But you do have to choose yourself. Even when it hurts. Even when it means walking away from someone you once begged God to keep. Because sometimes, the strongest thing you can do, is say nothing. Let them choke on the silence they left you in. Let the memory of what they lost haunt every room they enter. Let the version of you they broke become the reason they never sleep peacefully again. This wasn't just revenge. This was rebirth. And you, watching this, you're not broken. You're not stupid. You're just at the edge of something life-changing. Let it burn. Let it crash. And then walk away. Like someone who finally remembered their worth. Because sometimes, the most beautiful endings are the ones written in ashes. And that is why only Karma Revenge dares to tell stories like this. Where truth doesn't whisper. It screams.